Hello, Leo, and welcome to your March 2023 reading. So we are just kind of adding in a little bit something extra this month than we have the last few months. I just thought, even though it's a collective reading, I'd like to get a sense of what area of life this is actually applying to, so we can maybe direct it a little bit more. So that's what we're taking a look at. It's an experiment. We'll see how it goes, see how you like it. This is just kind of quickly becoming one of my new favorite decks. So let me know how you guys feel about this. All right, interesting. So we're looking at the moon is the card that's going to help direct this. And to get a bigger, fuller picture of this, we're going to take a look at, oh, I'm actually feeling a different deck. Yeah, I'm feeling this deck here. So we're taking a look at the beginning, middle, and end of the month as we have been, to get a sense of like what the progression is, what are the themes that are coming up for this particular month, right? I'm liking it so far, Leo. Liking it so far. Definitely liking it so far. I have to say, out of the readings that I've done so far, this is one of the ones that I'm really liking more. So, and let's also have a look at what challenge is coming up this month for you. Feeling this card here. Woohoo. And what your spiritual advice is, Leo. Okay. All right, so we're going to start off looking at the moon. So with the moon, what we're talking about here is the realm of emotions, right? And which is obvious. I think most people know that this has to do with the moon. It has to do with your emotions. But the moon also has to do with what feels nurturing to our emotions, what feels like our emotional needs, how we get them met, and what feels nourishing to us. It's not just about us though, because, you know, even though this is a collective reading and we're not sure exactly where this applies, we're looking at the realm of emotions. So that means also the emotions of other people. So in the impact that we have in the world around us. Even deeper than that, it can go into the psyche, it can go into psychic abilities, but it can also go into you know, just the insecurities that lie at the heart, like our most sensitive and tender places, right? It can have to do with those spots. Overall, yes, the emotions, but I kind of want to give you a full rounded view of what else is also included with the moon. The other thing that I would say about the moon is this can sometimes apply to your home life, what feels nourishing and nurturing to you in your personal sanctuary. And for some, this can actually represent the connection to your mother or the maternal person in your life. Let's say that you grew up with only having one parent and it was your father. Well, then, you know, your father would have been the maternal person in your life, or maybe you had an aunt or a teacher that represented like that maternal kind of connection. But that can also be coming up here as well. So I want to just mention all of that because it is a collective reading and we don't know exactly, you know, how this is going to apply to all Leos everywhere. So we look at the progression of the month, and what we start out with is the Ace of Wands. We move into the Queen of Pentacles, and we're leaving out with the Eight of Cups towards the end of the month. For the challenge that is coming up, we have the Queen of Wands, which I think is interesting, and we have the Nine of Wands. I really love the contrast that's happening here between the Eight of Cups and the Nine of Wands. We'll get into that in a moment, but let's start out with the beginning of the month, feeling like there is this spark and energy to move forward. Maybe you have a spark of creativity, some kind of intuitive hit or inspiration that comes forward, but there's this kind of spark that moves you towards something new, right? Going in this new direction. Notice that the wand is kind of like shooting almost like upwards, right? There is this beautiful arm like jutting out and shooting up this beautiful wand upwards and out, right? This is also having to do with our creativity, right? As well, and our passions. So something that sparks in that way. Now, for some of you, you know, this could have to, especially because it has to do with the realm of emotions, because it have to do with your somebody about pregnancy. So somebody, this has to do with pregnancy. just all of this new energy. I just got that came through. So that's for somebody, but yeah, obviously not for every single Sorry, you guys, I had a phone call that actually made it through my do not disturb on my phone. So, anyway, so yeah, obviously that's not for every Leo, but this can have to do with relationships, obviously, you know, when we're looking at the realm of emotions and other people's emotions and what is nourishing and nurturing for us. But, so, you know, this still being a general reading and not being able to speak to you individually directly, and not knowing, there is this spark, and apply that how it applies. Now, there is something to do with even more of that nourishing energy that I feel like there's a mirror happening here with the moon and the Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles is about building that level of stability and that hearth and home that feels nurturing and nourishing to us, right? So that's why I feel like there is this connection between the moon and the Queen of Pentacles here. So for Leos, I think that, you know, this could really have to do with what is happening in your home or happening inside of a relationship, a close relationship of some kind. Maybe even with your mother, something that is maternal in nature, because the Queen of Pentacles is very maternal-like, is very nurturing, and very much like the hearth and home, like the heart of the hearth and home, which typically back in the day, that's what, you know, mothers used to represent, and maybe sometimes still do. So yeah, so definitely, other than that, this, you know, the earth and the pentacles have to do with our physical resources and our physical environment, and our values, like what it is that we really truly value, what do we value that has us feel nurtured, what has us feel nourished, what has us feel cozy and warm and secure and stable and solid, right? Thinking about that quality of the earth, right? So that's what we're looking at here. So you're starting to kind of like get the feeling of like what this is. And I would imagine, if, you know, even though this is a collective reading for Sun and rising Leos, you know, I would say even if this is a collective reading, you're probably getting a sense of like where this applies. You can feel, right? Feel like where this applies to you and your life. And we come into the end of the month, and what we're looking at here is the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups says like, hey, you know, you got to let go of the shit that is too heavy emotionally. Again, with the cups, we're looking at water and emotion. So very appropriate that we have that coming in with the moon here. And it's just like, you have to, like, towards the end of the month of March, it's like, okay, I'm done holding on to this stuff that is too heavy. And it's time for me to go off on, you know, this journey in a new direction, or in this other direction, even if it's not a brand new direction, but in this other direction. Very often this is a spiritual journey, something that can feel like a solitary journey. That doesn't mean that you need to break up with anyone. So if you're in a relationship, that's not what I'm saying, but this could be more of an internal experience, an internal kind of personal spiritual journey that you are going through, and that you need to make sure that you make the space and time for that. So that's one way of looking at this. Either way, what we're looking at is whatever it is that you're dealing with this particular month, you get to the end of the month and you're ready to release the things that are feeling too heavy, and just going, okay, that shit's just too heavy for me. I can't handle that anymore. I'm going to move in this other direction. I'm going to go on this other journey and release myself from this, right? So the challenge coming through here is the Queen of Swords. And with the Queen of Swords, definitely this is like speaking your truth. So if there are places where your emotions are feeling like they are keeping you from speaking your truth, or you're afraid to hurt other people's emotions, or, you know, just feeling like there's something keeping you from being able to do that, you need to be able to speak plainly and directly, right? So, you know, I mean, there are times and experiences in life where it's like, yeah, sometimes our words need to be more sharp and very, very direct and blunt, right? However, there are other times where, like, most of the time I would say that's not really necessary. I would just say, make sure that while you're being direct and while you're speaking what is true for you, what's so for you in your life, the things that are needing to be spoken. Maybe there are emotions that you've been suppressing, that you haven't been expressing, that need to be expressed. And so in order to create maybe the boundaries around you so that you can have this nourishing kind of experience, right? To be able to hold on to that, to be able to have it or to create it, right? Because the Ace of Wands is a card about creation, right? It's like this burst of new energy so that you can take that and use it to create this, right? To use it to go in this direction, to use that it's kind of like if you have or haven't ever played like video games, it can be like that. You get like a one-up or like a boost, right? So that you can power through a particular part of the, like, you have the energy to move through certain blockages, right? So that you can get to the next part of your journey, right? And so I think that this energy that's coming through is meant to give you some kind of boost or inspiration or motivation to move forward and to start creating the vibe that we have here in the middle of the month, and giving you the energy to be able to let go of the things that are too heavy so that you can move forward. And part of what comes up as a challenge is like speaking what needs to be spoken, right? And your spiritual guidance that's coming through for the month of March is the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands is definitely like, the vibe I'm getting here is very much like, it's not time to stop. Like, you don't get to stop yet. You've got to keep going. I know that you might feel a little bruised, maybe a little battered, a little weary from, life in general, like the things that have just kind of come up along the way. And this is just not the time to stop. This is a time to draw on all of your wisdom and resources that you have like gleaned from all of the trials and tribulations of the ups and downs in life, and to use that wisdom and knowledge to continue to go forward, to continue to move to the next level, right? So I think that this is really just speaking to that and taking care of your health, right? Our emotions affect our health 100%. So, that this card definitely has also to do with health. And so I would say, make sure that you're paying attention to your health, your vitality levels, and not allowing yourself to get too drained where you're unable to like continue and go forward. Like these two cards, the reason I was saying I think it's really interesting, like the contrast, is because it can feel like heaviness. It can feel like it's just too, it's too much, right? Like I'm so done with having to deal with like this stuff, right? But it's going to turn over. You're going to come to another, like the next phase. And in fact, like I'm just going to pull one more card, because I just kind of want to say like, hey, it's not like it's not going to be like this forever. You are going to move into another stage, right? Like there is a continuation, and it doesn't stay like this forever, right? Look at that, Six of Cups, right? Six of Cups is what we have showing up next. And I just wanted to kind of give you like hey, like don't worry if some of this feels a little bit heavy and you're feeling like, oh, I have to continue. I have to like continue to fight the fight. It's like, and not actual fighting. I'm not talking about arguing. I think you get that. But, I just want to give you the reassurance that, hey, look, there is the turnaround that's coming around on the other side. Like around the bend, we have the Six of Cups, and these are really beautiful feeling energies, right? The Six of Cups feels, it's, a lot of people talk about the nostalgia that people feel, but it's like this gift that you get to have when you have the Six of Cups, like this gift of remembering the simple pleasures, the simple feelings in life that feel abundant or open and possible. Like, remember what it felt like to be a kid when you just didn't have any responsibilities and the days felt expansive and long and full of possibility, right? It's just like, think of the most perfect days that you had when you can think back to being a kid. And like, this is the kind of energy that comes through with this particular card. It's a gift. So you're moving towards like around the bend. This is what's coming, right? It's just, and there's some good stuff in here, right? Like you have good stuff. It's just like, there's stuff to communicate. There's stuff to let go of emotionally. And there is like this need to keep going. And like after the end of March, and we'll talk about this more in your April reading, but we'll come into like this particular particular kind of energy, and we'll see how that actually continues. So definitely stay tuned for the full moon reading that's coming up on the 7th of March. So I'll have those out, and maybe even check out the new moon that happened towards the end of February to kind of like see the progression and see if that gives you other pieces of the puzzle. You know, obviously these are collective readings. So again, if you want to see specifically what it is for you, then I would recommend getting a personal reading, which is in the description below. So I will see you in one of the next videos, and I hope that this was helpful. Bye.